Fearing death, WikiLeaks' Julian Assange releases password to large cache of Hillary files. You can bet after the news of the Russian Clinton-Obama collusion broke on Tuesday about all the extortion, bribery, and money laundering that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is feeling a little bit edgy. After all, Assange has been telling Americans for years Hillary Clinton was corrupt and evil and colluded with the Russians. Too bad not many Americans listened. Now more truth is coming out, and WikiLeaks' Assange was right all along. It's suspected that Hillary Clinton could be on the verge of being totally exposed by the release of more compromising and revealing files held by WikiLeaks, based upon the recent posting of rather cryptic set of letters and numbers on Twitter by founder Julian Assange. Wouldn't that be awesome? Clinton was recently in Australia to promote her book, What Happened, about the 2016 election, and reiterated her belief that WikiLeaks and Assange, who she termed as nihilistic, opportunist, who does the bidding for a dictator according to the International Business Times, were in league with Russia and partially to blame for her electoral loss. Assange replied via Twitter, WikiLeaks has a pristine record for accuracy. Hillary Rodham Clinton is not a credible person. The primary cause of her downfall was her own Machiavellian scheme to elevate Mr. Trump Pied Piper. The tweet contained a link to Clinton's interview as well as a link to the latest WikiLeaks dump exposing Russian interests. Less than 20 minutes later, Assange then tweeted what many believe is an encryption code or dead man switch that would ensure the release of certain files by third parties or even automatically by a computer program in the event of his being detained or killed prior to his own determination of when to release such files. About an hour and a half later, Assange posted one more tweet regarding Clinton that some suspect hinted at what the prior encryption code could be the key to unlock. There's something wrong with Hillary Clinton. It's not just her constant lying. It is not just that she throws off menacing glares and seethes thwarted entitlement. Watch closely, something much darker rides along with it. A cold creepiness rarely seen, Assange tweeted. Of course, the posting of an encryption code that could possibly unlock secret files revealing damning information about Hillary Clinton has fueled conspiracies, but the IB Times noted that Assange has posted such encryption codes several times in the past as a sort of insurance safeguard prior to a massive document dump. Interestingly, a site known as the Duran documented a series of tweets from Fox News host Sean Hannity in reference to Assange, most notably one a week prior to Assange's cryptic tweet that read T-7 and counting tick-tock, quite possibly a knowing reference to an upcoming document dump. Of course, we all know who Hillary Clinton hates the most next to Donald Trump, and that's WikiLeaks. After all, it was WikiLeaks that exposed most of her corruption to the public. Even though if you asked Hillary Clinton, she would insist that WikiLeaks is nothing more than propaganda backed by the Russians to make her look bad. Hillary Clinton is such a pathetic liar. Hillary and the Democrats used this whole Russian propaganda and all the fake news of the Russia-Trump collusion to deflect away from the real truth about the real Russia, Obama, Clinton, Mueller, and several others collusion. Pretty sad that all of these Democrats would put money over America's own national security. That's the real and sick truth. There is so much disgusting swamp to drain in Washington, D.C. President Trump can't do it alone. The sad part is this swamp isn't just filled with Democrats. Republicans are just as guilty. Speaking of guilty, when are the real criminals going to pay the price? From Hillary Clinton and her pay-to-play scandals to the Uranium One deal, someone needs to pay the price other than the American taxpayers. How does Hillary Clinton continue to be involved in these enormous crimes and nothing happens? It's one filthy deal after another. My gut tells me that until Trump can clean out the Obama leftovers, there will continue to be members of the swamp in his own administration. The drain is backed up and clogged with demo rats. It's time to drain the swamp. In the meantime, I would look for another WikiLeaks dump by Julian Assange to come very soon with more revealing Clinton documents. There are still thousands of deleted emails from Clinton's private server that she refused to turn over to investigators that Assange could choose from. Let's hope he lets it all out. You can bet that Hillary Clinton isn't going to like it at all. Knowing her, she is thinking of ways to stop more of the truth coming out from WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Let's hope Assange can stay safe. Lord knows Hillary Clinton has a long enough trail of bodies just in the past year, from Sean Lucas to Seth Rich, Bernie Wissenant, Molly McCauley, and others. We also know she already threatened to take Julian Assange out with a drone. It's time to put a stop to the Clinton corruption, don't you think? Maybe this was the calm before the storm that Trump was referring to. We'll all know soon enough. Tighten your belts, folks. Things are about to get interesting real soon, just in time for Halloween. Well, I hope he comes out with more, because we're all anxiously awaiting Hillary Clinton's fall. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.
Joining me now with more on the Russia probe, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, a conservative watchdog group that has filed a lawsuit seeking greater transparency in Robert Mueller's ongoing investigation. Tom, good to see you tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me, Shannon.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Podesta brothers. We know more about John. The general public does because of his role with Hillary Clinton. But tell us about Tony and why it's significant that he stepped away from his firm.
Well, Tony Podesta is just a well-known lobbyist here in Washington, D.C., and a real hired by everyone to get everything done. And evidently he was tied to the Manafort effort. And Manafort's been indicted for his efforts on behalf of foreign entities. Mm-hmm. And the question is the Podesta lobbying operation next? Mm-hmm. Now, Tony says that I filed all the forms properly, I filed the legal advice, and I didn't do anything wrong. But I think the concern from fair-minded people is why the inordinate focus on Trump campaign associate collusion or activities, and why not similar focus on the activities of Tony Podesta, and frankly, more importantly, John Podesta, who had a business relationship with the Russian government, and not only that, was the head of the Clinton campaign that paid for the dossier, which was essentially a collusion with the Russian intelligence operations.
Though, at this point, that there is some focus on at least one of the Podesta brothers has come within the crosshairs, the interest of the special counsel. So I know that you think you've got a lot of problems with Mueller and his ability to be objective, but if he were to indict one of these brothers, would that change your opinion? Should it?
Well, I don't know. My concern is that we don't know what Mueller is supposed to be doing. He indicted Manafort on charges unrelated to what he was hired to do.
But you know special prosecutors, I mean, they have a very wide berth and a lot of money and unlimited time to do this stuff.
Well, that's the constitutional problem. You know, Mr. Mueller was hired to investigate collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, or Russian involvement in the 2016 election. The Manafort indictment really has nothing to do with that. It's tax fraud, money laundering, mortgage fraud. We don't need a special prosecutor for that. And the question is he only going to investigate collusion between the Trump campaign, allegedly, and the Russians, or is he going to involve the Clintons in it?
Do you trust him, to follow the facts? Because there are a lot of folks on both sides of the aisle who say, I think he will go after Democrats if he finds that there's a legitimate reason to, that they've broken the law in some way. There are a lot of folks on the Hill. We had Senator Lindsey Graham here last night. He said there will be, quote, holy hell to pay if the president gets rid of Mueller or if he isn't cooperated with in some way.
You know, there's a difference between getting rid of Mueller and questioning his constitutional authority under the law. That doesn't mean you're not cooperating with a special prosecutor. It just means you're asserting your rights under law. And Mr. Mueller is not being supervised properly by the Justice Department. He has seemingly a wide-ranging charge without adequate supervision. We've asked for his budget. We haven't been able to get it. We had to sue in court for his budget. But why the big secrecy? Shannon, you've covered the Justice Department. Are you aware of any Justice Department investigation in recent memory that had 20 prosecutors assigned to it? It just doesn't happen. You know, my guess is the terrorist operation, anti-terrorist operation right now in response to yesterday's attack might have similar numbers. But this is a mini Justice Department being run by Mr. Mueller, and people who are appointed by the president and subjected to Senate confirmation aren't supervising him properly and adequately. Well, for him to make this big first indictment, not about the price of tea in China, but about something really minor, relatively speaking, tells us that he has an overly wide view of his abilities.
Well, I mean, what he charged them with yesterday, no collusion with Russia and the campaign. I mean, there was nothing in that. People immediately hear an indictment, and those on the left get really excited, like, aha, there's proof. That's not what these indictments were about, to be clear. But we also got on the same day this plea deal with George Papadopoulos, who, that was a much different situation. That was that he was reaching out, trying to facilitate something. At least some say that he overestimated his ability to do so and was maybe exaggerating his ability to get top Russian officials to the table. But it sounds like in these emails that's absolutely what he was trying to do. So we get word of that, a deal that a man who'd been arrested back in July, we don't hear about it until the same day we get the indictments on Manafort and Gates. Do you think that the special counsel's office is sending a message saying, yes, we got these indictments on these two and there's no direct collusion as part of these indictments, but here's Papadopoulos. We're very much still on the scent of this trail.
Well, you know, unfortunately for Mr. Papadopoulos, he evidently lied about something that wasn't illegal, which were communications with these Russian operatives talking about the campaign that didn't go anywhere. And all the evidence in the indictment or in the plea deal suggests that it didn't go anywhere. The campaign was monitoring what he was doing, and basically it never rose above his own machinations individually. So I don't see what the big deal is there. And there's nothing that's been released publicly thus far showing there's been any collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians in an improper way. Yeah, and the only information we have is between the Clinton operation and the Russians, where monies were exchanged. And you know, my question is the FBI using this dossier, and now Mr. Mueller using this dossier, and is it fruit of the poison tree? Yeah, and are you confident, and we got to go, but are you confident that the House, the investigations they've launched into both Fusion GPS and the dirty dossier and also the Uranium One deal, that will get answers that the American people want? No, I'm not confident, because the agencies are protecting Mueller's investigation, and anyone who asks questions about anything are being told, oh, we're looking at it criminally, so therefore you can't get the information. So we'll be in the dark unless we push harder on it. Well, and we know you do. So keep us updated on what you find. Thank you.